I'm going to show you my favorite way to make a bobble. I love knitting baubles. I use them a lot in my designs. You may have noticed that I use them all the time. And with a lot of practice and experimentation, this is the method that I kind of worked out that works best for me. It makes a nice perky bobble that doesn't fall back into the fabric, and you don't need a crochet hook or anything for it. I am personally too disorganized to ever have tools handy when I need them, so I like having techniques that use the fewest amount of tools as possible. So this can be worked flatter in the round, and I apologize for my kinky yarn. I'm pulling from the center of the ball and it's kind of messy, but it still works. So you knit along, and then where your pattern calls for a bobble, you knit into the stitch, or you insert your needle just like you're gonna knit regular, wrap the yarn around, and you pull it through, but you don't pull the stitch off of your left hand needle. Instead, you're gonna insert the right hand needle back into the stitch through the back. So through the back leg of the stitch, and wrap around and pull that through, and still don't take it off the needle. Now we're going to do another one through the front. This is called knit front, back, front, back, front, back, however many times. I'm doing it 7 times for this, like I used in my Fonda sweater. So I've got 2 so far. I'm going to go back to the front, front, another one in the back. This is 4, another one in the front, 5, another one in the back, 6, another one in the front, 7. And now you pull it off your left hand needle. So you've got 7 stitches made out of just 1. And now you're gonna bring each of those stitches over that last stitch that's on the needle, starting with stitch number 6. So you're gonna grab that with your left hand yarn and just kind of pull it over the top, and then to the number 5, pull it over, 4. It helps when you don't do these too tight, because it's easier to actually get them. You don't want them too loose, so it's good to do just a little bit of practice on a swatch before you start your pattern. So that's number 3, stitch number 2, and finally stitch number 1. Now you've got this little cluster of fabric here, and what you're going to do now is you're going to slip this back onto your left hand needle, slip the stitch back onto the left hand needle, and just knit it. And then we're going to do that just one more time. Slip it back onto the left hand needle and just knit it. This gives you basically the same effect as the crochet, the half crochet bobble stitch, but it doesn't use a crochet hook. You've got this little tail that you just created with those 2 extra stitches. Helps this bobble stay to the front of your fabric. I'll do another one. I'm going to knit a few stitches, however many my pattern tells me to knit before my next bobble. Let's pretend it's 5. All right, ready for another bobble. So I'm going to knit front, back, front, back, front, back, front to make 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you're going to bring the legs over the last stitch just like we did last time. So if you want to visualize the stitches, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now slip that onto the left hand needle, knit it, slip it back onto the left hand needle again, and knit it again. And then knit. So you can see these little bobbles are staying on the front of my fabric. They're nice and perky, and you can modify this to be as big or as small as you want. So if you want, like if this bobble is too big for your taste, you might decide you want to do one that is like just say 4 stitches. So you can go knit front, back, 4 times. So front, back, front, back. All right, and then we're going to bring over stitches 3, 2, and 1 over stitch number 4. So 3, 2, 1. Slip that stitch to the left-hand needle, knit it, slip that stitch to the left-hand needle again and knit it again. And now this time you have a little bit more of like a petite bobble. This is why it's nice to swatch before you start a pattern, to see, like if you have a really lofty yarn, you might get a puffier bobble. This is a superwash with a pretty tight twist, so they're kind of a bit flatter than if I had like a woolen spun yarn. Just keep in mind that if you make a bigger bobble, it's going to eat up more of your yarn than if you make a smaller bobble. But I suggest trying this out, and on your next row you're just going to knit normally, so there's no extra steps on the next row. So happy bobbling!